Chapter 19, Genie in the Bottle. My mom takes me grocery shopping with her. It's a little bit of a fight to get inside Safeway with all the protesters. People are always outside holding signs for some cause or proposition on the local ballot. They all jockey for space with the Pet Rescue Society and the Salvation Army. We get a cart, and by the time we're done, it's piled high. We never bought this much food when it was just the two of us. We can stretch a pint of ice cream over a week, but my grandfather will finish it in a single sitting. "Your grandfather is eating me out of the house and home," she says as we wait in a checkout line. "At least you don't have to pay for a babysitter," I point out. "And he's driving me nuts with the whole trash can thing." I look at her. "Did you know that he has a fan club?" "He has a fan club?" I nod. "In Finland." She shakes her head in bewilderment. "Unbelievable. Does he drive them crazy too?" "I like having him around," I tell her. "I've noticed," she replies. "You two are like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. By the way, there's a bunch of extra paint at the theater if you and Brianna want to do your handprints." I hesitate. "I don't know if we're going to do the handprint thing anymore." My mom doesn't say anything. She just gives me a long look. Then she changes the subject. "It's kind of funny that you're interested in all this science stuff. I hated it. Your grandfather used to drag me to the lab when I was a kid." "What did you do?" I ask. "I washed the test tubes." It sounds like fun to me. "Were there any cool experiments?" "It was all completely boring, and that was the problem," my mom explains. "No emotions, no excitement, no drama." But I know she's wrong about this. There's lots of drama in science. "Really? A bunch of boring people standing around in white lab coats?" "They aren't boring, they're passionate, like what you're talking about." She raises an eyebrow, and I want to make her understand. "We were losing World War II, and Oppenheimer and all these scientists created the atomic bomb and saved the day. That's pretty dramatic, right?" She gives a grudging nod. "Or like with Salk, kids were dying from the polio epidemic and everybody was scared. Jonas and Salk and his whole crew of scientists believed it must be possible to stop it. And so they worked night and day to find a vaccine, and they did it." Something in her face softens a little. "You sure know a lot about this," she says. I guess I do. "Still, those stories could use some romance," my mom points out. "There's lots of romance," I insist. She looks confused. "Really? Who are they in love with?" "Possibility." We load the groceries into the car, and then I push the cart back to the store. I slow as I pass the protesters' tables, surprised to see my science teacher behind one. There's a sign taped to the table that says, "Abolish nuclear weapons now." "Hi, Ellie," Mr. Ham says. It's always funny running into teachers when they're not in their school clothes. Mr. Ham's not wearing a tie today. Instead, he's got on a t-shirt that says "No Nukes," a pair of shorts, and bright blue sneakers. "Doing a little grocery shopping?" he asks me. "With my mom." "What's this?" "Oh, I volunteer for this organization a couple times a year." He puts on his volunteer face. "Could I interest you in a brochure, Miss Cruz?" "Do I get extra credit?" I ask. "Absolutely," he says with a smile. I recognize the mushroom cloud picture on the brochure, but there's another picture of a bombed-out city next to it. The caption reads, "Hiroshima, the war begins." "But the atomic bomb ended the war," I say, confused. Mr. Ham gives me a questioning look. "Did it? Or will it start a larger war? Because we're always going to be waiting for the next bomb to drop. You can't put the genie back in the bottle." I hear a horn honking. My mom's pulled up to the curb. "Looks like your ride is here," he says. After I get into the car, I look back at Mr. Ham, and he gives me a little wave. When I go to breakfast the next morning, my mom and grandfather are already in the kitchen. "I thought I told you not to put the trash cans out at night," my mom says furiously. "What?" he says. "You should be happy I took them out." "There is a reason I told you not to do that," she says. "Come with me." We follow her outside. The cans are next to the curb and the lids have been knocked open. Gross, rotting, stinky trash has been strewn all across the street by some enthusiastic animal. "We have raccoons." She narrows her eyes. "Maybe your Finnish fan club can help you clean it up."